Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. This tutorial is on kidney yang deficiency. What would the average kidney yang deficient person look like? Well, the likelihood is he'd be an elderly male. Not always, but by the overwhelming laws of average, people who are kidney yang tend to be male and tend to be elderly. It takes a long while to get to a kidney deficiency. You generally have to work your way through the other organs, particularly the spleen. You have to become spleen qi deficient, then spleen yang qi deficient, then kidney qi deficient, and then specifically kidney yang qi deficient. And usually for many people, for most people, that's a long journey. So people arrive at kidney yang deficiency very often in their 60s or 70s or even older. They tend to be the older male. Their characteristics is that they tend to be under-motivated because it's one thing not having energy to do the tasks of daily living, but it's another thing not to be motivated to try to get that energy. So for example, the kidney yang deficient person will appear to be relatively happy because it takes energy to express dissatisfaction. If you ask a kidney yang deficient person, can I help you? They'll probably say, no, thank you. If you ask a kidney yang deficient person, did they have lunch or are they warm enough? They'll probably say, I'm okay. Because to say otherwise invites conversation, and conversation takes energy, and conversation takes, I suppose, initiative, and it takes a sense of needing to do it. So therefore, people who are kidney yang deficient just want to disengage. They don't want to do anything. They don't feel a need to do anything. They want to disengage from the world because in effect they've ran out of steam. So the kidney yang deficient person will be non-contentious. They won't be creating argument. When people visit them and people may say, are you feeling all right? They'll say, oh yes, I'm okay. But they will discourage contact. They won't prolong the conversation. And that is one of the major characteristics of the kidney yang qi deficient person. They just want to be left alone. They'll freeze alone and eventually they may die of hypothermia. And people will wonder why. They'll say he never asked for help. But of course it takes motivation to ask for help. And the kidney as an organ, as a TCM organ, is involved in motivation. So therefore the kidney yang deficient person is often at risk. Very often they'll have the appearance of normality. They might be sitting beside a fire, but the fire won't be lit. They might have a kettle on the stove, but the stove won't be lit. They might have a newspaper on their lap, but they won't be opening it or reading it. People may come and ask them, are you feeling all right? And they say, oh yeah, I'm okay. In other words, they disencourage any form of contact or any form of meaningful connection. They're mildly depressed, except they won't recognize that as depression. They'll feel cold, but of course they'll do nothing about it because that requires motivation as well. Sometimes they can become incontinent, sometimes doubly incontinent, and in a curious way that can be a good thing because it enters them into the Western medical services, and therefore they might perhaps get accommodated in a nursing home or in a residence for the frail elderly. And that's a positive because then at least there are people looking after them. Many elderly men live by themselves and are particularly prone to kidney yang deficiency. Very often it might be a lifetime of productive work as they work their way through their spleen, and eventually now they're down to kidney yang qi deficiency. So what is the solution? What can you do for them? Well, it's difficult because very often they don't come seeking help because they don't feel a need that they need help. And people who know them superficially, that is, don't see them as people asking for help. So often they don't engage with the services until it's too late. But the best thing you can do, obviously, for a yang qi deficiency is put heat into the body. And the best way of doing that, of course, is by the use of moxa on the Ming men, 0.24. That's located midline on the back between lumbar vertebrae 2 and 3. You can also needle kidney 3 and apply moxa there, as well as, of course, tonify the root of post heaven qi with spleen 6, stomach 30 36, Ren 12, and maybe use a source point like spleen 3 as well. Perhaps bring up yang with do 20 and maybe needle do 20 3 times or 5 times in a circle in order to bring up the yang, rescuing yang to a certain extent. But the most important thing is to put warmth into the body, and that can be put in herbally as well, perhaps with a ginger tea. But very few elderly men, especially if they lack motivation, are going to make ginger tea. So that's another one of the reasons why it's particularly difficult in treating kidney yang deficiency. If somebody cooperates with their treatment and perhaps is taken to your clinic by a kind nephew or somebody like that, yes, there's an awful lot you can do very rapidly, because once you put yang in the body, their spark for life comes back again, and their yang comes up, and their motivation comes up, and their desire to embrace life and living will come up. But it's a matter of getting over that initial stumbling block. And that's one of the, I suppose, the challenges of acupuncture, in trying to make that initial engagement and trying to make the first engagement very productive. And the best way that can be done probably is putting heat in at the level of do for the Ming men, and also needle the back shoe points of the kidney, urinary bladder 23, right side and left side. That's 1.5 sung lateral for the Ming men. Urinary bladder 52, right side and left side, and that's 3 sung lateral to the Ming men. I just wave a moxa stick across that, and I keep the area very, very warm, and I find that very, very helpful. And then I would probably apply moxa to kidney 3 as well. And after that, the person should start to feel better and start to embrace life by getting their motivation back. And that, of course, can be completely life-saving. Thank you.